Good morning, students. Today let me discuss the next important element, that is so called as the objectives of the management. Objectives of the management. What actually it is mean by the objectives of the management? Objectives of the management means the objectives which are going to be set and decided by the management. Why? Because with respect to the business organization, every management is going to set the objectives. Those objectives truly states about what kind of expectations that a management is having with respect to the business organization. Why? Because the management is a corporate body who are going to decide the destination for your business organization, and they are the people who are going to make your business organization successful in the competition. That is why the role of management is very important with respect to the business organization. Here that corporate body is going to set the different objectives. Those are so classified into three types. One is the organizational objectives. Second one is the social objectives, and third one is the personal objectives. And speaking about the first important type of objectives, that is so called as the organizational objectives. So what is organizational objectives? Organizational objectives are nothing but the objectives which are decided by the management with respect to the business organization, and it is the management who are going to fulfill all those objectives set by them. That is why here you are going to study the organizational objectives. And speaking about the organizational objectives, the management is going to set this kind of objectives in the major areas of dealings of the business organization. It means that what are the main areas your company is dealing, in all those main areas the management is going to set this kind of objectives. Those are so called as the organizational objectives. And so as to fulfill all these organizational objectives, the company has to take into consideration the interest of all the stakeholders. The stakeholders means it can be trade union, it can be government, it can be customers, or it can be any kind of the employees also. That is why if your organization wants to fulfill all those objectives, it has to fulfill the expectations of each and every stakeholders of your business organization. That is why the management has to fulfill the interest of each and every stakeholders of the business organization. It has to take into consideration the interest of all the stakeholders also. That is why the organizational objectives are going to be focused on these three elements. One is the objectives with respect to the survival, and second one is the objectives with respect to the profit, and third one is the objectives with respect to the growth. And speaking about the first important aspect, that is so called as the survival objectives. What is survival objectives? Survival objectives are nothing but the objectives which are going to be decided by the management. Their main intention is that your company has to survive for a longer duration of time. It means that they are having an expectations to take your business organization at least for 20 years, at least for 30 years, at least for 50 years. This kind of expectations are going to be had by your management. Those are so called as a survival objectives. And if your business organization wants to survive for a longer period of time, it has to focus on the customer satisfaction. It has to focus on the imposing the reasonable price to your products. It has to focus on the delivering of quality oriented products. Then only your company can sustain and survive for a longer period of time. That is what we mean as the survival objectives. And second thing is that the objectives with respect to the profit. Profit is the essential part of every business organization. Without earning the profits, the company cannot survive, and it cannot fulfill its needs also. That is why the company has to maximize the profits of the business organization. And so as to maximize the profits, it has to deliver the quality oriented products, and it has to give the effective as well as the efficient services to the customers. It has to fulfill the expectations and demands of the customers. Then only your profit of your company can be rightly been maximized. That is why your company has to focus on producing the products at a least cost. Then only the products can be sold at a larger margin. That is why the profit is the most essential part of your business organization. That is so called as the objectives with respect to the profit. And third thing is that the object with respect to the growth. Objective with respect to the growth in the sense, this is the third important objectives in respect of the organizational objectives. So what is actually mean by growth objectives? Here the management is having an expectation of reaching your company new heights, and they are going to focus on the company has to reach the new heights of development. It has to achieve the new heights of growth prospects. Why? Because until unless your company is not going to be grow, you cannot become successful. That is why the management are going to focus on the objectives of growth prospects. And if your company wants to grow, it has to increase the sales turnover. Then only the company can reach the new heights of development. That is what we mean as a growth objectives. So in the organizational objectives, you have seen the survival objectives and profit objectives as well as the growth objectives. That is the first important classification of objectives. And speaking about the second objectives, that is so called as the social objectives. Social objectives, it means that corporate social responsibilities of the business organization. In the society, the business organization is also considered as the one of the most important social unit, and it is the only company which is going to optimize the resources of the society, and after optimizing the resources, it is going to give something in return to the society itself. That is why it is the business organization which has to extend its contributions to the society. It means that it has to fulfill the each and every needs and expectations of the society, and it has to give solutions to the social problems, and it has to achieve the social welfare, social development in the society. That is why the company, the management of the every business organization, they are going to decide and set the social objectives. That is the second classification of the social objectives. And third thing is that the personal objectives. Personal objectives in the sense, so here the objectives are going to set with respect to the personnel. So here the personal means the human resources of the business organization. In every business organization, the human resources are considered as the one of the most important organizational resources of the company. Why? Because without your human resources, the company cannot become successful. The company cannot reach new heights of development. It is the efforts of the employees by which your company is going to become successful in the longer period of the time. That is why this kind of a personal objectives are going to be set by the management of the every business organization. Their main intention is that the company wants to optimize the skill, competency, knowledge, experience of the human resources of the business organization. Why? Because here the employees are dependent on the company. At the same time, the company is also dependent on the human resources of the business organization. It is the company which is going to optimize the skill and knowledge of the human resources. At the same time, the company has to extend, it has to fulfill each and every expectations of the human resources also. That is why the management has to compensate and give handsome salary to the workers. It has to give the bonus, and it has to give some sort of effective incentives to the workers, and it has to provide the medical benefits to the human resources of the business organization. And it is the responsibility of the every management which has to give the good atmosphere and good working conditions to the employees. and it is the responsibility of the management which has to maintain the good relationship with the workers or the human resources of the business organization. That is why if you focus on the personal objective, the human resources are depends on the business organization, and business organization is purely dependent on the efforts of the human resources. That is why the management has to set this kind of a personal objectives in the business organization. These are the three different classifications of the objectives of the management. One is organization, second one is the social objectives, and third one is the personal objectives. So with this I want to conclude my discussion. Thank you.